Ouch.
Yum yum.
Those are all examples of vocal bursts. And then there's whoa. Dacher Keltner examines woes in his book Awe, The New Science of Everyday Wonder and How It Can Transform Your Life. Keltner is a psychology professor and faculty director of the Greater Good Science Center at UC Berkeley. He writes that woe is one of the most universal human sounds, and it conveys the emotion we call awe.
It was really the birth of my first daughter, Natalie, where I was just blown away and awestruck, and I felt like my life had been transformed.
His team was struggling with how to study awe. They gathered stories from 26 different countries, asking people to tell a story of an experience with awe. One of the stories from his book comes from a cellist named Yumi Kendall, who plays for the Philadelphia Orchestra.
She said, well, when I start playing music and I think about the notes I play, I realize like I'm part of this human tradition of music that's thousands of years old. It's probably 80,000 years old.
The vibrations coming out of the cello produce sounds that flow into space.
She's like, the notes vibrate in my body, and then I'm part of this symphony, and we're part of producing these sounds, and I understand the meaning. It feels like a cashmere blanket of sound.
Kendall talks about playing Mozart's Requiem in the Science of Happiness podcast. A requiem is a mass for the dead, and she thought of her grandfather.
Then it suddenly changes like 20 seconds in to this angelic, like bright white light, like the heavens opened, and is super peaceful, sopranos singing, angel voices kind of feeling. And I got goosebumps. I felt like grandfather was listening.
Keltner says answering the question of why music is so powerful may be one of his last acts in the world of awe. With questions comes wonder.
In science, wonder seems like a developmental stage that you go through to get to knowledge. And it's a kind of temporary state where the questions are popping everywhere, and then you figured it out and you know things.
That's Elizabeth Kessler, a lecturer in American Studies at Stanford and author of Picturing the Cosmos, Hubble Space Telescope Images, and the Astronomical Sublime.
From this distant vantage point, the Earth might not seem of any particular interest. But for us, it's different. Consider again that dot. That's here. That's home. That's us.
Before the astronomical sublime got to her, Kessler was interested in romanticism and landscape paintings.
But I started seeing a lot of the astronomical images that were online, whether it was views from very early Mars rovers to the then early Hubble Space Telescope images. And it struck me that many of them looked like romantic landscape paintings and photographs.
For instance, the Pillars of Creation.
The choice of colors there indicate scientific information. They speak to the relative wavelengths of the different observations that were made there. But it also ends up creating a scene with a blue background, and these clouds of gas and dust look kind of yellowish, orangish, brownish. So it looks like a kind of landscape.
She says images from the cosmos help us think of possibilities and potential in times of catastrophe. Like in 2022, when NASA released the first images from Hubble's successor, the James Webb Space Telescope.
Light where stars were born and from where they die. Light from the oldest galaxies, the oldest documented light in the history of the universe.
In a moment where we often feel weighted down, whether pandemic, climate change, catastrophe after catastrophe, to have a glimpse of something even inadequate that speaks to awe, that speaks to wonder, that speaks to the potential for transcendence, gives us some other way forward.
And we sure could use fewer reasons to murmur,
oh,
or
eek,
and more reasons to go,
whoa.
For Philosophy Talk, I'm Holly J. McDede.